Hi artists! Today I am sharing with you some easy ways that you can improve existing drawings. A lot of the time I think that we feel in order to improve a drawing, we really need to add to it. And that's not always the case. We don't necessarily need to add information or add details. Sometimes we just need to bring attention to details. I did come up with some suggestions to think about here, some things that you might want to accent in your drawings. But starting off here, if you look at that shoulder on the top, I am highlighting the top of that shoulder because that edge of the shoulder is closer to us than as the arm recedes. So that's one of the reasons to give an accent and to make a line a little heavier, and that is because it's closer to us than something else. Underneath the arm, there's a cast shadow, so I started to bump up that edge a little bit. And then I'm highlighting some of the curves on the hip and the butt cheek because I like it and I think it's interesting. Right underneath the one butt cheek, there is a cast shadow. So you're going to see I'm making that darker and sharper. And something to keep in mind is that cast shadows have sharper edges and they tend to be darker than core shadows. So we've got a core shadow here on the upper glute, and then a cast shadow being cast onto the lower glute. So I am making that cast shadow sharper and darker, but I am also a little bit and more gently darkening the core of that form shadow. So again, that form shadow is on the upper glute, and I'm giving it a little bit of a core because there's usually an area that's a bit darker because there's an adjacent reflected light. I'm continuing that core shadow, or the core of the form shadow, also along the bottom of the hip. And instead of making this even, instead of treating the entire form shadow with a core which is dark the whole way through, I'm making it uneven and I'm just accenting certain parts of it. So keep that in mind. You don't need to make everything even, and in fact, making it a little uneven is often better. Underneath the body here, I'm giving some more emphasis to where there is weight pressing down. Okay, so anywhere two things are coming together and showing some weight, it's a good idea to make that a little bit darker to show that pressure. Here I am back underneath the arm, accenting again that cast shadow underneath the arm, but I'm keeping it a little bit delicate in comparison to the other cast shadow that is underneath the glute because I think that is the most interesting and important cast shadow. Here I am punching up that core shadow that is underneath the arm because I really like the shape at the armpit. But on that further edge where that arm is going away from us, I'm leaving it and I am not accenting that. That is going to help the rest of that arm feel like it's going further away from us into the distance. And it's going to also help it not take interest away from the other parts which I am accenting. So I'm accenting things where I want interest and I want to include specific information like weight or proximity to the viewer. And I am not adding information or I am downplaying areas that I want to feel further away from us or areas that I don't find particularly interesting or that I just don't have any more information to add. So here I'm also adding a little bit of a harder edge on the edge of the sofa because that's pretty close to us. And I am adding a sharper edge on the cast shadow where the hand is casting a shadow down, but I'm not adding more information to that hand. In fact, I'm going to let the fingers in that hand kind of get lost in the shadow because I don't want this drawing to really become about that hand. I want the hand to be sort of a secondary thing, and I want the shoulder and the glute area to be kind of the star of the show. And now I'm pushing down some of the values in the back just to kind of heighten the lighter areas. And I did give it a little more information with some form shadows in there as well. I felt like darkening the head just a little bit would also help it recede behind the arm. And then I'm just finishing up with a couple of details. If you would like to see this entire demonstration in real time, check out patreon.com/School of Realist Art. And you can find a full drawing course at figuredrawingacademy.com. Here's the before and after of my drawing. So you can see I didn't actually add any new information. I just accented certain information and downplayed other. This increased the contrast and the overall interest of the drawing, and I think it feels a lot more finished now.